Hello all law aspirants, welcome to Insights which is a recorded lecture series for our channel वकालतनामा। आप लोगों ने हमारी playlist में देखा था that we had logical reasoning 1 and 2 and followed by the third video which was posted today, logical reasoning 3. So आप सब ने ये video already देख लिया है. Now we will take it a step forward by going to the next in the series, and which is the forcefulness of arguments. As I said, this is a very interesting topic and a lot of questions are asked on wherein you have to make decision about what is strong argument and what is a weak argument. You have to basically distinguish between them. So there will be a question given, a statement given, followed by two arguments which will be numbered 1 and 2 or maybe 3 also, and you have to decide which is a strong and which is a weak argument, and you have to choose the option 1 suppose if only argument 1 is strong, 2 if only argument 2 is strong, and similarly. So let's begin with giving you a statement over here. Should primary education be made a fundamental right in India? So this one is in the form of a question, and there will be two arguments in either in support of this or against this statement, and you have to basically decipher whether it's a strong or it's a weak argument. So let's have the first one. Know what is the use. So it says know what is the use. Have we fulfilled our duties regarding other fundamental rights? Other fundamental rights. So as you can see, this is your argument 1, and then it will be followed by another. Yes, this is what all the developed countries have done. So this was just to show you what is going to be the format of the questions. You will be given one statement and arguments. So let's write it in short form, and this is your argument 2. Now which is strong, which is weak, we will come to it later. Right now I just gave you this example so as to make you familiar with the type of questions which can come. Now how are we going to answer such questions? So you need to develop an insight into the statement or the problem statement, or you can just simply call it the question or the problem. And what does this statement seeks to know? So you need to scrutinize it properly, and obviously the question is going to be consisting of a statement. It could be a suggested course of action. So here, as you saw in this first example I gave you, it is a suggested course of action. It should be made a fundamental right. So obviously it will come in that form, and two arguments will follow. One will advocate the suggested course of action. So basically it will advocate the course of action and it will try to bring out the positive aspects of, or the features or whatever result of that action will follow, and the other one will be against the suggested course of action. So another one will be against, and it will bring out the negative features. So out of the two arguments you can say that one is for and one is against. And against what? The course of action, the course of action which has been suggested in the statement. So एक उसको support करेगा, दूसरा negate करेगा या उसके against में something will be said. Now to be in order to any one of them either if he is suggesting, he is saying positive things or negative things, if this argument has to be forceful, that is what is the chapter today. Forceful होने के लिए, of course that has to be 100% perfect. So ये कैसे होगा? So there will be 2-3 stages in which you can actually check the perfectness of an argument, and whether the positive result of the given course of action follows, either positive follows or negative follows, is it desirable or not desirable. So initially we will now explore a kind of analysis, a step-by-step method in which you will see how we go on to examine the suggested course of action. So the entire thing begins with this, a suggested course of action, and now what will be the arguments? So taking it down further, if I write, as you saw in the previous example, should it be made a fundamental right? Now if the answer, the argument 1 says yes, it should be followed, and the argument 2 says no, it should not be followed, then they have to obviously substantiate that why are they saying so. So because of, and from here argument 1 will try to bring out the positive result of the action, and the argument 2 will try to bring out the negative effect of the action. So obviously they will list out some feature which is positive, and यहाँ पे again they will bring out some feature which is negative. So this is how you are analyzing the suggested course of action. They would have given you few arguments, but you have to do this process yourself. So what we have done and seen here is basically the analysis of the problem. When I say problem, the problem statement. So let's go back and see it again. There was a suggested course of action. The query was this: there are 2 arguments. This is argument 2. First one is saying yes, the second one is saying no, and then they are substantiating it by positive features and negative features. So this is basically called the analysis of a problem. And in all such questions, you will have something called a 4-step plan to get the solution. Now what is it? सबसे initially you have to read the question, the statement, and subject it to basically 4 tests. When I say 4 step, these are the 4 tests, and if it passes all the 4 tests, it's a strong argument, otherwise it's a weak argument. You have to subject it to 4 tests. If it passes in all 4, all 4, then it is a strong argument, and if it doesn't pass in any or all the 4, it's a weak argument. So now we will see how this is done. So the step 1 is something called preliminary screening. So what you are doing, that sometimes that this argument or the statement will be very visible, it will be obvious, and it will be weak, it will look weak. So you don't have to think much before concluding that it's weak. Now which all will be those ones which will be visibly weak? So in the preliminary speaking, sometimes you can make out that some arguments are visibly weak. Now, which are these? The first one is an ambiguous argument. Now, ambiguous meaning you all know. Ambiguous arguments. So, these are basically not clear how it is relating to the course of action which has been suggested. These are not clear as to, I am writing the abbreviation for course of action. How is it related? It's not clear, not at all clear. So, these are ambiguous. You are not able to exactly pinpoint at what the writer wants to say, and these leave a doubtful or confused impression on your mind. So, let's understand it with the help of one statement. And the statement is, one should eat, drink and be happy because one day everyone has to die. So, one should eat, drink and be happy because one day everyone has to die. Do not focus on the punctuation and spellings. We are basically trying to understand what could be an ambiguous argument for a statement or problem statement which has been given. And the arguments which follow are like this. No, because one should strive to achieve a goal rather than think of death as the ultimate end. So, what you see here, we had a statement and then we had this argument. Now, this here is ambiguous. Why? Because it is not clear how it is relating to the main statement, only a hint is made. We are talking about one should eat, drink and be happy because everyone has to die. Now, it is going on a tangent, it's not even relating to it. Strive to achieve a goal. So, this one is an ambiguous argument to say, and visibly it looks a weak argument. It's not substantiating the main statement. Sometimes, so we have seen ambiguous. Now, similarly, there are some things called too simple. There would be sometimes too simple arguments. Okay, so let's write it as an abbreviation. These are too simple in nature. They are not, these are small sentences. They will not be backed up by facts or established notions. तो ये क्या होंगे? इनके पास backup of some kind of facts or some kind of established notions won't be there. Now, what it is, how you will understand with the help of an example. And let's take the same one, the same example here. One should eat, drink and be happy because one day everyone has to die. Now, suppose in support of this statement, the argument which is given is this. No, this philosophy hardly enables us to do anything. So, have a look at the statement again. One should eat, drink and be happy because one day everyone has to die. And the argument made looks very simple. No, this philosophy hardly enables us to do anything. So, what's happening here? It's a simple assertion. A simple assertion. There is no substance in it. No substance. It's not presenting us any facts. So, this argument will be deemed a weak argument. So, I hope you have understood so far. So, having seen the ambiguous argument, this is, we are talking about our first step, preliminary screening. Having seen ambiguous, and then we go on to the simple, too simple arguments, and then we have something called superfluous. You may have come across this word superfluous arguments very often. Now these basically glance at the theme and they have no in-depth analysis. Now let me give a new example here. So no in-depth analysis, just skimming at the surface. Glance at the theme, ऊपर ऊपर से. So let's see an example of such a statement which is superfluous, such an argument which is superfluous. Traditional culture should be preferred to modern culture. This being the statement, the argument given is no, both have their good as well as bad points. So while this argument says both have their good and bad points, we can still say that it is a superfluous argument, because good as well, sorry, as bad points. So it is very generically saying and not even examining anything which is related to, say, traditional culture, what all does it encompass, or modern culture. It makes a generic statement that both have their good as well as bad points. So this is a superfluous argument, and therefore superfluous argument, they are not delving into the core of the topic. So any argument which does not delve into the core of the topic and just it does not do any in-depth analysis and just has a glance at the theme and says something, will be a weak argument. So if you will go through these checks and processes, you will come to know whether some statement is some argument is either weak or strong. So having seen superfluous, there are something called question back arguments. So what happens in question back arguments, that they will be this will consist of a question which will be thrown back. So suppose there is a statement made which says, should India be declared a Hindu Rashtra? Okay. Now the argument which they will make here will say, yes, why not? Now again, if you see, this could be a weak argument, because this is just narrating the same question statement by another question statement. So not substantiating, not doing an in-depth analysis, not saying anything basically, not bringing out any facts or established notions. So when you follow this step, as I said, you have to follow certain steps, which is a 4-step plan, and in that 4-step or the 4 tests which you will make the arguments go through, which was the preliminary screening, you have seen ambiguous arguments, you have also seen superfluous arguments. Before that you saw 2 simple arguments, and then you have seen question back arguments. So you will be able to now know that this will be weak. These type of arguments will be weak. Now in the second step, we have to ask, will the result really follow. So after having the preliminary screening of the argument, you have to, so say for example, you got your answer even in the first step, then you don't have to go to the second, third or fourth step. So these are the tools through which you will actually examine, carry out the analysis of a problem. So after doing preliminary screening, you have to go to the second test if still your answer is not clear. Now first of the next three will be to determine whether whatever has been indicated in the argument will really follow or not. How can we judge this? So sometimes you will have an idea or a common sense, it will be sufficient to do this judgment. So how the results follow? How are the results? How will the results follow? To know that, will the result really follow? In order to know that, you have to understand that if there are some established facts, a result will follow the course of action if it is an established fact. Say suppose I say, should vegetarianism be preferred to non-vegetarianism? And the argument is yes, it contributes to better health. So I am not writing the question, I am just telling that the statement was for vegetarianism versus non-vegetarianism, and the argument which was made was that vegetarianism promotes better health. So while we are not saying that being a non-vegetarian is bad, however, definitely it has got some health benefits. It promotes better health, so it's an established fact. Similarly, we can also say that non-vegetarian food is richer in protein. No, one more argument can be that non-vegetarian food is richer in protein. So that also is an established fact. So we know that from the statement the results will follow if these kind of arguments have been made. So these are called established fact. Now this was one. Secondly, if by experience we know that okay, such and such thing happen. So by experiences we know, we can predict actually that the results will follow. Now for example, another one, I am writing in a very cryptic form here. The statement says, should there be internal assessment in the colleges, and the argument given is no it would encourage favoritism among the teachers. Now these from the from the experiences we can say that these predictions are probable. It has been experienced that sometimes it may lead, I am not saying that it's a of course following this internal assessment may also lead to discipline, but sometimes it has led to favoritism. So with the experiences, so we can predict that the results will follow. The third aspect which we need to consider is the result probable logically? Is it logically probable or not? So for example, in this case we will deal with those arguments, they will talk of a result that is probable, and emphasis will be on logic, more emphasis will be given on logic rather than experiences as you saw earlier, or established fact which you also saw. So they will give more emphasis on logic, logically whether this is probable or not. Now for example, if I say that internal assessments will enable the teachers to have a better control over the students, this is something we can agree, because if we think over it, it follows logically. Similarly, if I say complete disarmament will lead to control of wars, so disarmament, complete disarmament will lead to control of wars. So obviously it's a probable consequence if we use the simple logic that if there are no arms, जब arms ही नहीं होंगे, so how will people fight wars? No arms, no. So this is, what are we doing? Applying logic. So the third one was logically it's probable, so results can follow. And lastly, in this, we have something called prevailing notions of truth. Now what are these? These are certain ideas which are universally accepted, and they are also acknowledged by the society. For example, simple living and high thinking should be our motto, if that be the statement. So prevailing notions of truth क्या होता है? Universally accepted and acknowledged by the society. So if I tell you that the statement says that, let's type it down, simple living and high thinking should be our motto. So simple living and high thinking should be our motto, and the argument which is now being given is, yes, these virtues make a person, yes, these virtues make a person great. So what do you see here? This basically is consisting of something which is universally accepted and acknowledged by the society as virtues. So this argument is a strong argument because it is going along the lines of some prevailing notions of truth. So we have seen our step 2 now, and same things we can apply. These were to find out whether the suggested argument, because of the suggested argument, it will follow the course of action. Will the result really follow by the suggested course of action? So we have seen, let's revise here. In the second step we have seen established facts, better health, vegetarianism, protein in non-vegetarian food, experiences, yes, internal assessment we talked about, logically probable we talked about disarmament and war, and then we talked about prevailing notions of truth. So we have to check whether the results are following due to the suggested course of action or not. Now similarly, by the same logic, by established facts or experiences, we can find out that results will not follow. So this step again will be instrumental in us finding out whether it will be a strong argument or it will be a weak argument. If the results are following, it is a strong argument. If the results are not following, it's a weak argument. So you saw here the step 2. Now in the step 3, it's going a little long, I can understand, but you have to understand this only once, and after having done that, you will not be actually found wanting when you have to identify a strong argument from a weak argument. You would like to revise this, rewind this video and see it again in order to understand it properly. It's basically a proper class, so please bear with me till now. We are left with just about last few concepts. Now in the third step, you have to give answer to this question. result follow तो हो गया, result is following or not following की हम बात नहीं करेंगे. If it is following, is the result desirable? What does this mean? Desirable तब होगा जब positive result होगा, and it could be harmful if there will be negative features in the argument I am talking about. So first two tests say आपको clear नहीं हुआ, they have passed the two tests, you are still doubtful. Now you have to be going to the third step, and a very simple course of action, whatever it has been suggested. This step is simple because whatever course of action will be suggested, an argument is made either favoring or protesting, you have to ensure that the support or protest made in the argument is in the form of predicting consequences. So yes, do it, and no, don't do it. So now let me just make it very clear with the help of some examples. So should yoga be made compulsory in schools? Now this is one statement, and let's see what's the argument is. Yes, it will increase the number of teachers by increase the number of teachers by introducing a yoga teacher. A yoga teacher. Okay, it's refusing to take my voice command. Yoga teacher. Okay. So should yoga be made compulsory in schools? And what they have done is the argument says it will increase the number of teachers. Now in this example, what's happening? Are these arguments fit enough to pass your preliminary screening? Both will pass because if yoga is made compulsory, a yoga teacher will have to be there. So definitely the number of teachers will increase as a result. And same thing if I tell you that if should our school have English magazines and they should be made costlier or not, and the argument given is no, it will increase the readership of magazines in Hindi and other regional languages. So don't increase the English magazine, don't make it costlier. So both these examples, there is a problem here. Now what are they harping on? What are they based upon? They are basically the first argument. Now in this case, the yoga argument I will talk about. The yoga argument, it is basically saying that course of action, it is giving a signal to the course of action that makes yoga compulsory in school, and it is saying because number of teachers will increase. Now is the number of teachers, is it an important factor? Is it an important factor? Their increase, and is the increase in the number of teachers desirable also? The increase, is it desirable? So it might be the author's perception that at an increase in the number of teachers, increase in if yoga is made compulsory in school, the increase it will help in increasing of number of teachers and it will be good, but definitely it's not desirable for the school. No school will like to increase the number of teachers. So we have seen that in this kind of argument, the result which is following is not desirable. Therefore, it will make it a weak argument. So having seen this, we will come to the fourth one and finish it here. We will see that in the fourth step, whether the argument and the course of action which has been suggested are properly related. Are they properly related? So we have seen that we can obviously reject an argument on the basis that if it has got no connection with the suggested course of action. So this, what will happen, this will become a case of non-relation. And when in the fourth step we will see that if there is a relation or not, is there a proper relation or not. So this is what the fourth step will examine, relation between what, argument and the course of action, the argument and the COA as listed above. Now let's have a statement and then explain with the help of that. Should there be compulsory military training for all? Okay. So this being our statement, now let's see the argument. Yes, it will bring a sense of discipline in people. So we have to see whether the argument and the course of action suggested. What was the statement? The statement was compulsory military training hona chahiye ya nahi hona chahiye. The argument made is that it will instill or it will bring a sense of discipline. So now here we see that the argument has a proper relation with the statement, and it is emphasizing on some aspect which will happen if the military training is made compulsory. So this way we can see that the argument is strong because it establishes a proper relation between military training and discipline. I am writing those abbreviations. So now we have seen all the 4 steps, and these are the 4 steps which you will go through every time when you have to examine a statement and the arguments made. A quick recap, the video has become very long. Firstly will be your preliminary screening, and in that you have ambiguous, too simple, superfluous and the question bank type of arguments. In the second step you will see will the results really follow, and then you will go on to see within second step established facts, experiences based on which you can predict the course of action, or logic you will use whether it's probable or not, and also you will see prevailing notions of truth, and then come on to the third step and check whether the suggested course of action is desirable or harmful. And lastly you will try to see whether there is a proper, the above three steps would have established the non-relation. In the fourth step you will try and see whether the argument is related to the course of action, and we have seen it with this example. So here we finish a very important chapter in our logical reasoning, which was the forcefulness of arguments. There are a couple of things more which you need to learn before you jump on to practicing of the main questions. Now those are basically called evaluating inferences. The next chapter, next video, which the class which will be made, it will be on this topic. And what do you learn over here? In the you would have known the word, what is an inference, what is the format of these questions. It is basically there will be a sentence again given, and there or maybe a passage, and they will be followed by inferences, and you have to examine and decide whether the inferences are valid or not, whether it follows or does not follow So you would have seen such type of questions figuring in your, if you would have gone through your previous year question papers, you will see 1 follows or not, 2 does not follow, choose like this. So this is a topic called evaluating inferences, and these kind of questions you will be solving. You will see the theory with me in the next class, and then probably I will be giving you some practice papers. And after having done inferences, then your understanding of your logic and argument will be almost complete. There will be few minor things left wherein we can look into whether the statement is or the data is sufficient or not, and finally we will be moving on to syllogisms, and of course we will do strengthening weakening arguments and cause and effect as well. So this video is quite exhaustive. You need to pause it, rewind it, make your own notes and have a look at it right from the beginning, because there are a number of concepts have been covered over here, and once you are thorough with these, trust me, you will be able to solve the logical reasoning problems. So on that note, this is going to be uploaded very soon on our playlist, and do not forget to come to this playlist on the channel and finally see it. All the best for your exams. Keep studying. As I said, it's your hunger, it's your passion which will take you through. So no point counting days and hours now. There's a famous line that you need to stop talking and start doing. So after you see this video, of course I have to talk because I am teaching you guys. After you see this video, sit down and solve some DPPs which we have sent to you. All the best. Thank you.